You're listening to Deeper with Dani, a podcast where we dig deep because everything is that serious. So I have a confession to make. Usually around this time, I've already made some progress with my birthday essay. It's a yearly thing that I do on my Substack ever since that I joined. If you don't know about it or if you don't follow me on Substack, why haven't you? But if you have, and if you've lurked, I'm sure you have come across some of my birthday essays. These are some souvenirs from certain points in my life that honestly I have come to enjoy looking back on. And I guess the problem with this year, as I turn another year older, as I near my 30s, it's kind of difficult to sum up all the lessons that I've learned into just one sentence or one theme. As I grow older, I feel like I live multiple lifetimes each year. It's come to a point where there's just so much to talk about, so much to document. I've procrastinated writing it. But I know, like I always do, I'll have something figured out by the end of the month, which is on my birthday itself. One form of distraction that I have now used is the advice column. Dear Dani is finally back. It's my advice column that also originated on Substack. I have finally found the best way to invite people to send entries, and that is through a Google form. I finally created a Google form that I feel happy about, where you can actually submit entries for future episodes if you'd like. I have linked it down below. It's tinyurl.com/Dear jusdani. One thing that I like about the form is that I've also allotted what people hope to get from my response. Do you need direction? Do you need someone to ground you and help you realize what blind spots you might not be paying attention to? Or do you just need assurance that things will just be all right? I'm very happy that there were a lot of people who submitted during my first call of submissions. And I've chosen for today's episode 3 entries that share a common theme, and that is adulthood. These 3 entries today all have variations of the same problem. Dear Dani, how do you adult? So let's unpack that. Our first entry comes from Little Miss Former Princess Carolyn, who says, I'm a new hire and I don't know how to socialize and I feel incompetent. Hi, Miss Dani. I am suffering from anxiety in my new job. I always thought I could socialize well if needed, even though I'm a shy person. But now that I'm on my first week in my job, I honestly don't know what to do. I'm a new hire, and the department is pretty small. I already expected that I'd need to socialize, but I didn't expect it to be this kind of socialization. We're all super close. Everyone eats together like a family. My own family doesn't even eat together like that. On my first day, I was literally in the hot seat, and I got asked if I was single. I'm also a fast eater, but now I feel like I have to slow down and wait at the table for everyone to finish because it might seem impolite if I don't. Everyone shares stories, and I don't know if it's okay for me to just stay quiet and listen. I thought lunch breaks would help me recharge my social battery, but nope, I still have to be on. I'm starting to dread lunch, and I don't even enjoy my food anymore. On top of that, I feel like such an imposter because I originally applied for a certain position, but I ended up being assigned to another department. They said the hiring manager sees potential in me. I feel so stupid. I don't know how to do my job. I don't know anything about the corporate world, and I don't know how to socialize with people way older than me. What do I do? So looking at this entry, we're seeing 2 things. How do you learn to socialize at work? And how do you learn to do your job as a new hire? Looking at this entry reminded me of my time at my first job because I have always been introverted. And in every social situation, I end up making friends because there's a certain extrovert who ends up adopting me. I know I have no authority to be telling you to step out of your comfort zone, initiate conversations, because as an introvert myself, it's also something that I struggled with for quite some time. And it's something that I still kind of continue to struggle with, although I have found my ways of interacting without feeling like I'm stretching myself too thin. In the socialization aspect, it's very important to make small talk. As an adult, it's not just about the deep relationships that you form and sustain with others. It's also these surface level friendships that could actually help you survive each day. And especially these people are your coworkers, it's important that you learn how to make small talk, how to make conversation. Talk about the weather. Talk about how traffic it was to get to the workplace. Talk about how stressed you might be feeling about your current workload. Although with the last part, Some people might argue with me about it because not everyone wants to be that open with their coworkers. So it's your choice what kind of topic you'd like to talk to your coworkers about. And I'm not asking that you treat them like family. All that matters when you're at the workplace is to learn how to sustain and maybe form healthy relationships with them by talking, interacting for as long as you can. You don't have to be on all the time. And I think as a new hire, you have to pay attention to the workplace culture. Is it really necessary that people eat together? Or is this just something that you observe within your immediate environment? One thing that I learned in my first and current job is that it's so important to spend the first few months looking at how people behave, because then you'll get to see what the culture is like, and you'll eventually figure out what needs to be done. Right now, it's good that you're adjusting to the culture, that you're joining your coworkers when they have lunch together. But when talking with them over lunch, you don't have to overdo it. If they ask you questions, whether it feels nosy or not, just try to answer them concisely. Try to answer in a way that doesn't invite more questions if that's what you're avoiding. But just try to participate in the culture and see where it goes. The first few months of being at a new workplace is a big adjustment period. And I think you have to give yourself more grace before figuring out what needs to be done or what the right way of interacting with others is supposed to look like. On the other hand, how exactly do you do a job that you didn't originally applied for? The exact same thing actually happened to me in my first job. I actually applied to be an English teacher first, but then the HR manager told me that I was aligned with another subject, which was more related to the degree that I have. And it turned out to be the best experience of my life, even if I was underpaid at that point in time. It's important as a new hire to ask questions. It's also a way for you to make conversation with your coworkers, with your supervisor about what is expected of you. But first, I would suggest that you review the job description first and see what expectations have been set for this particular position. If you have questions, if nothing is clear to you, ask your coworkers, set a meeting with your supervisor. Talking to people and learning to ask for help, these are signs that you're actually interested in the work that you do. It shows them that you have initiative to ask for help and to get things done. A lot of the time, people get it wrong and assume that asking for help means that you're weak. But really, in a situation like this, where you're a fresh graduate, you have zero job experience under your belt, it is expected of you to ask questions and to ask for help. And it's also good that your hiring manager sees potential in you. It's a good ego boost, I would say, a good confidence boost, because again, that also happened to me when I applied both in my first job and in my current job, where I was met with that kind of praise. Like, oh, we actually see something in you, hence we're giving you this kind of workload instead of what you expected. It's very important to trust that there's something that people see in you that is worth exploring. And I hope you eventually develop a good enough routine that helps you trust what people see in you. It takes time, it'll take months, but try to approach this new chapter of your life with more curiosity instead of judgment. Our second entry is from Little Miss Tattle, who says, I'm in my mid-20s, still exploring what I want. Lacking solid direction at this age feels so wrong. I think I found a path that makes me happy, but I'm not sure if I could do something good in that path. I've been finding it hard to navigate life, and I've been finding things very confusing. It feels like everything is falling apart or nothing is going well. But strangely, I don't feel the need to do something about it. Not that I'm privileged. The closest term that I could think of is I feel meh or just okay about it. Currently, I have been exposing myself to multiple experiences, but I'm concerned if what I am doing is just right, or I'm already making excuses for myself to justify the lack of direction. Should I continue exploring or focus on a single path that I figured makes me happy? This entry actually reminds me of one theory that I've learned in my educational psychology class, and that is James Marsh's theory of identity development. You have the motivation on the x-axis, the motivation to explore options. The y-axis shows you how committed you are to exploring this new identity. So there are 4 parts. You have identity diffusion, which is low commitment and low motivation to explore and get to know yourself. Identity moratorium, which is high motivation to explore options, but not committing to any single path. The next part is identity achievement. You have high commitment to explore a new identity and high motivation to get to know other parts of yourself. Identity foreclosure is said to be the last part where you're highly committed to this new identity and you have no motivation at all to explore other options. What this theoretical framework tells us is that many of us start from identity diffusion where we're not committed to a particular identity, but we're also not motivated enough to explore what's out there. And from your entry, it seems that you are really scared and you are really terrified. But I'd like to ask you, what do you mean by this when you say you're concerned about if what you are doing is right? What does right mean for you? What does it mean to be right at this age? Because you're torn between two things. You're concerned if what you're doing right now is right, exploring who you are, or if you're already making excuses for yourself to justify the lack of direction. I don't think there's a lack of direction because you're at the point looking at the framework. You're currently in identity moratorium where you're not committed to any sort of identity, but there's a high level of engagement in exploring other things. Your 20s are really all about getting to know yourself and gaining as much experience as you could because then you get to figure out, is this right for me? Is this not right for me? What do I do? Does this align with the kind of life that I want? Identity moratorium, which is currently where you're at right now, is actually a good thing. You're not committed to a particular identity yet or a particular path. It's a good thing because you're keeping your options open and you're looking at which works or which doesn't. And I think the reason you feel so terrified is that you're more obsessed with the outcome than the process. And I know people say this a lot. Think about the process, enjoy the process, focus less on the outcome. And I know it's easier said than done. But come on, you're in your 20s. This is literally the second decade of your life so far. You have to cut yourself some slack. Not everyone has had it all figured out in their 20s. And if you feel like everybody else in your life on social media has it all figured out, people are not always telling the complete stories online. People often highlight the good parts. And you also mentioned that you already found something that you'd like to explore further. Why not invest more time and effort into this one path? See where it goes. Either way, whether it works out or not, whether you get the expected outcome or not, I know you will come out of it knowing yourself better. And often, that is the best thing that you can gain from a particular experience. And I guess if you want to move from identity moratorium to, let's say, identity achievement, where you're highly committed to a new identity and you're also motivated to explore what's out there, or you'd like to move to foreclosure where you want to be committed to a particular identity, you have to start being intentional about what you explore and what you experience. This is where self-reflection comes in, where after every experience, ask yourself, what did I like about this? What did I not like about this? Is this something that I see myself pursuing career-wise? Is this something that I could just keep as a hobby? Is this something that I see myself doing in the kind of life that I want for myself? Asking yourself these kinds of questions will actually help you figure out if these experiences are worth continuing or if you have to move on to the next experience that'll help you answer these questions too. Life is a never-ending process of asking yourself these questions. And the more you approach it from a place of curiosity and interest rather than judgment and anxiety and dread, it'll be easier to navigate each experience and come out of it appreciating your courage to figure out what kind of life that you want for yourself. Don't feel too pressured to have it all figured out. There are people so much older than we are who, when you talk to them enough, you'll realize that everyone's just winging it and everyone's just trying to figure out what kind of life that they want to be living. It's never ending and it feels dreadful. The wonderful thing about it is that life's always changing. So let life surprise you. For final entry today comes from Little Miss No Direction in Life. I've been unemployed for about a year and a half. After graduating, I said I would review for the boards, but I didn't review properly or even try to review at all. When the exam date came, I pretended that I took it. Now I'm back to reviewing again and only started this month. I haven't applied for any jobs ever since. So for more context, before graduation, I decided to take boards, like even though it wasn't exactly what I wanted at the time. Part of me wanted to use my degree, but a big part of me really just wanted to delay applying for work. I was scared to apply because I felt like I didn't have any skills. I'm scared of job interviews, of rejection, of being nothing. I've been too dependent, even in college, and I never really took the initiative to look for opportunities on my own. I don't feel like I have anything unique to offer, and my weaknesses often feel overwhelming. But the truth is, I really do want to take the boards. I want to do really well. I even want to be a top-notcher, even though it's impossible to happen knowing how my brain works, or knowing how my brain picks up everything so slowly. Still, I want to give it a real shot this time and study with intention. I just don't know how. I hate myself for having low confidence and at the same time having these fantasies or hobbies that I want to explore in the future, and the things I want to do for my parents. These thoughts always come first before I actually put in the hard work, and I struggle to stay consistent because of it. I always feel like I'm running out of time. My parents are getting older, and I really need to start working because I'm the only hope that they have. I need to pass the exam, get a job. I don't even know what kind of wake-up call I still need, but I'm studying now, and it's just that this is the first time I'm being serious. I feel like panicking, like I won't be able to accomplish anything at all, because instead of thinking I still have 4 months, I keep thinking there are only 4 months left. I'm aware of how to manage my tasks, but it's just finding a job, staying consistent, and passing the exam that I struggle with. I hate being self-aware and not doing anything about it. How can I make real progress this time without getting overwhelmed by so much fear and procrastination? This entry has a lot of fighting with yourself here. You went on a bunch of paragraphs talking about how you don't like yourself for acting this way, yet you're self-aware, yet you don't know what to do. But I'd like to let you know that listing all the things that you don't like about yourself and focusing on that alone doesn't count as self-awareness. In reality, self-awareness, self-reflection are two different things. Being self-aware is not just about looking at the bad parts. It's being aware of all the information that you have about yourself. Rumination, on the other hand, this is focusing so much on the negative parts about yourself to the point where it paralyzes you. Instead, you might want to focus on self-distancing. It's a kind of process where you examine your experience and you try to distance your identity from that situation. So instead of thinking, I'm worthless, or this is happening to me and I feel terrible about it, try to examine what you're going through from an outsider's perspective. You know how when we give advice to our friends and we're always more gentle with them compared to when we treat ourselves when we're alone? It's kind of the same thing. So try to approach your situation thinking that this is something that a friend is going through. What would you advise them to do? What do you think is the best option to be doing given the time that they have? It's when you distance yourself from these experiences and you take them less personally that you're able to develop much more clarity about what needs to be done. In your entry, there's so much that you talked about. How you're running out of time, you need to get a new job, you're your parents' only hope, you wasted a year, yada yada yada. Focus on one thing at a time. Focus on where you are right now. And where you are right now is you're at home. You're reviewing for the boards, you're trying to study for it. So give it your 100% so that you don't end up regretting it later on, whatever the outcome is. Give it your best, be your biggest fan, and see where that goes. Whether it works out or not, you'll come out of it learning something about yourself. When the results come out, either you'll be licensed, which I honestly hope that you end up experiencing, or you might have to take it again. It really depends on how committed you are to your study habits, to reviewing, to devoting your time to preparing for the board exam. So one thing at a time. Once the board exam ends, you can start looking for a job, you can start applying, you can start upskilling on social media. There are so many free courses that you can look up online to figure out what it is that you could be doing to make sure that you might have something to offer. Ask for help from people as well. Ask your classmates, reach out to your friends that you've been ghosting and ask them how they were able to do it, how they have been able to secure a job and move forward since graduation. You're not alone in this. So stop acting like this is a unique experience, because it's not. I'm pretty sure there are other people in your circle who might be going through something similar, if not the same thing. So that wraps up today's Dear Dani episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I really did, because all these entries reminded me so much of who I was before the pandemic hit. So there's a lot of nostalgia that I feel in answering these things. It feels like talking to a previous version of myself. I just wish I could actually do that with my past self. Like the closest that I have is writing letters to my past self when I journal. I used to feel so much more anxious, uncertain, and afraid of being an adult, because at 21, when you're a fresh graduate, like what can you do? What should you do? It's terrifying. But In the years that I've spent in my 20s and my 20s so far, if there's anything crucial that I've learned, is that you have to keep moving. Depression hates a moving target, is what they say, and people are right. Depression really, really hates a moving target. So move as much as you can, try to move forward, fail forward. That still counts as moving forward. I think that life feels less daunting when you develop enough curiosity for how things may turn out, and you need to have enough compassion for however you handle it, whether you navigate things wisely or poorly. Eventually, future you will have it all figured out. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Feel free to like, share, and comment. I'd love to know what you think. If you want to submit an entry for future episodes, the link is down below. You can follow me on my socials, which I've also linked down below. And I'll catch you on the next episode. Thanks for being here.